And tonight on Joy News Prime, Chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament says he advised the National Security Minister to continue to keep the information on the presidential travel secret.
And if anybody in the security setup will listen, they should reclassify, if they have not already done so, they should reclassify all this information to top secret, which means that you and I cannot have access to it at a certain time.
But the MP for North Tongue, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, insists this is not an issue of security but accountability.
It's an affront to Parliament. It is an undermine of the authority of the Speaker of Parliament.
Also tonight, the Volta Regional Police revealed the man who allegedly killed his girlfriend and kept her body in a double-decker fridge at Hofiabe has multiple official names.
Again, we have also noticed or detected that the suspect in this case has multiple names.
Also in this part, shootings in Boko over ethnic clashes compels the Interior Minister to declare a curfew there. And coming up in business.
Well, the Rising Debt Stock Institute of Economic Affairs proposes a cap on the country's annual borrowing to prevent further rise in debt levels.
IMF, for instance, has described Ghana as having a high risk of debt distress today, but has also said that the debt is manageable going forward.
We have details of these stories and more here on Joy News Prime, which is coming to you live from our Fanofa studios at Kokomlemle, Accra. We're live on DSTV, channel 421, GoTV 144. I'm Ernest Mino. Stay tuned in. And tonight we begin from Parliament, where the Health Minister, Kwaku Agyeman-Manu, has backed the demand by the minority for a comprehensive audit into all COVID-19 expenditure. This follows a motion by the minority for the House to probe the expenditure that accrued as a result of the pandemic, contributing to the budget debate ranking on the Health Committee. Kwabena Mintah Kando insisted that his side of the House will push thorough with the probe. He also accused the government of failing to make available funds for the construction of the Agenda 111 hospitals in the 2022 budget, describing the policy document as lacking credibility. In the view of the Jobosu MP, the current administration must complete the existing health facilities before initiating new ones.
And let me serve notice that during the estimates at the committee level, we will insist on the details of the COVID expenditure. Mr. Speaker, again, the Mahama administration left and invested hugely in the infrastructure in the health sector. Without imposing e-transaction levy. Mr. Speaker, per Article 35(7) of the 1992 Constitution, governments are enjoined to continue to complete and operationalize any project that they inherit. Mr. Speaker, again, any document that were the sort of a budget must give the progress so far on all these projects. Mr. Speaker, what is the status of Afari Military Hospital? It is missing in this budget.
Ask them.
Mr. Speaker, what is the status of Kumawu District Hospital? It is missing in this budget.
Ask them.
Mr. Speaker, what is the status of Abetifi District Hospital? It is missing in this budget. Mr. Speaker, what is the status of Famina District Hospital? Mr. Speaker, it's missing in this budget. Have you given them the money, the contractors the money to go back to site? Mr. Speaker, especially with that of Abetifi District Hospital, the sad story is that if we have to go back to the site to continue that project, Mr. Speaker, we will have to demolish not less than 70% of the structures on site. Mr. Speaker, the obvious question is it not causing financial loss to the state?
It is.
Mr. Speaker, I think that at this point in time, we should compel the executive to demonstrate sources of funding to some of these projects, to complete them and to operationalize them before seeking for more. Mr. Speaker, I said that is not enough. They moved from 88 district hospitals to now Agenda 111, without demonstrating clearly in this budget where they are going to get the sources of funding. You promise you bring them in budget before going to look for funding. Who does this, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, again, I don't think, because the dishonesty in this budget is too much, Mr. Speaker, I don't think that this document qualifies to be a budget for the Republic of Ghana.
The Health Minister, Kwaku Agyeman-Manu, welcomed the probe and added that government will struggle to fund the construction of the health infrastructure, including Agenda 111, if it fails to raise the needed revenue.
How it happened. Almost all banks in this country were going broke by the end of 2016. If you had entered 2017 without change of government, Mr. Speaker, I'm afraid some of us will have signed checks without laying hands onto our deposits that were put into the banking system. Here, they wouldn't read what Setepe said, IMF told you. Financial sector reforms should have started as far back as 2013-2014, where most banks were not even meeting their capital adequacy ratio. Yet we couldn't do anything. Then we come in 2017, just like we managed HIPIC, to come and resolve financial sector, put reforms in there to clear the mess. At the end of the day, the cost to this country is part of the debt burden that we are now entertaining. The energy sector, IPP challenges, litigation and some compensation to some people to just get them off, to make sure that we will kill them off, which we have actually done. That is part of our debt burden. Mr. Speaker, apart from these mess that we inherited, there are several others, and I'll continue. The new initiatives that we started, who has costed senior high school costs, school feeding costs? All these things have been borne by the government, by the states, without people paying for anything. Mr. Speaker, let me go to growth. We have soon forgotten about the impact of COVID on all of us, even including Parliament. For several months, we were in lockdown. We wouldn't come to the chamber. When 3 people come today, 4 people should come tomorrow. How could that have contributed to any magnificent growth in any economy? Not only here in Parliament, the banking system. Up to today, have go to work 2 weeks, the following week they don't come again. Lock-up of Kumasi and Accra, the economic nerve centers of our country, against the other parts of the country. For nearly 2 months, 9 months, 10 months, how could that generate growth into our system? Yet, you were doing better growth than when NDC exited exited government. Mr. Speaker, these are some of the things that all of us here should think about passionately.
Well, we stay in Parliament because the MP for North Tonn, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, says questions about foreign presidential trips is an issue of accountability and not security. He was responding to the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, Brian Champong, who says foreign presidential trips should be classified as a top secret. Before we bring you his comment, listen to Brian Champong, who argues that the use of chartered flights by the president borders on national security and should not be discussed on the floor of Parliament.
National security matters. What it costs to protect you, what it costs to put the 40,000 police people on the streets to protect you, what it costs to put the military to protect you, what the sovereignty of the state, what it costs to put the immigration people at our borders, what it costs to secure you and the president are not matters that you can just wave that these are hard times and therefore we should let the president take throttle. You can't lift the conversation to this level. And I'm saying that, yes, we can do politics about a lot of things, but when it comes to the security of the state, the security of you and I, the security of the president, presidential travels, we shouldn't lift it to the president is bathing in air, and when you are pounding fufu, the president's water, the rain water that is coming. I mean, this is so elementary, and we're treating it as a joke. And people are running with it because of our understanding of security. And I'm saying that and if anybody in the security setup will listen, they should reclassify, if they have not already done so, They should reclassify all this information to top secret, which means that you and I cannot have access to it. At a certain time, they can declassify it and we can have access to it. Aircraft or the type of vehicle are not matters that we can discuss in the public domain. Bear in mind that these aircrafts, presidential aircrafts, they fly at 13,000 feet above sea level. The highest probably they go, because of their size, maybe about 20. They don't reach the 39,000, 40,000 feet above sea level that commercial aircrafts fly. So we have to be sensitive. If the president decides that today I need to make a quick trip to Sierra Leone, I need to make a quick trip to Mali, even if he decides to go with a presidential draft, using flight tracker, you know that this is a tail number of Ghana's presidential flight, and you are able to track it. Is that how we want to expose our president to? And if in the event that we need to get either a private arrangement, or private jet, or any other arrangement, it should be one that is equipped that the president can function when he's even in the air. And this is standard presidential fleet arrangement. The president, when in the air, still should be able to function as a head of state. So the cost, the number of people that go on the aircraft, what is contained, the security arrangement, and all those things are not matters that can be even discussed on the floor of parliament.
Well, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa accused Brian Acheampong of undermining the powers of the Speaker, insisting the minority will ensure the National Minister, Security Minister, is summoned before the House to respond to the question. He also said Brian Acheampong has breached the standing orders of Parliament, arguing this is a matter of accountability and not security.
Now, yesterday we heard from the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee claiming that he has advised the National Security Minister not to respond to the question. First of all, we want to make the point very clearly that that statement is an affront to Parliament. It is an undermine of the authority of the Speaker of Parliament. Order 66.1 of our standing orders is very, very clear. And for the avoidance of doubt, I want to read that provision. Order 66.1 provides, Mr. Speaker shall be the sole judge of the admissibility of a question. So no member of Parliament, no other person than the Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honourable Speaker, admits a question. And the question in issue will relate to the President's May travels to Belgium, France, and South Africa. It's a question that has been duly admitted by the Speaker. It does not lie in the mouth of the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee to advise the minister, who only last week was expected to respond to that question. And you know the history. After weeks of government, prevaricating and pussyfooting, the finance minister came and told us that he doesn't have the full, he's not seized with the information on the cost of the travels, and that we should go to the National Security Minister. The National Security Minister was eventually programmed to respond last week. The National Security Minister sent a statement to Parliament, communication to Parliament, that he has had to travel. And so we'll be seeking another convenient time to come respond. At no point did the National Security Minister indicate that the information on the cost of the President's travel has been classified as top secret. And so he will not respond to the Speaker's summons to come answer our question. So we want to state clearly that the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee is totally out of order. He is arrogating to himself powers that he does not have. He must stay clear of the Speaker's authority under Order 66.1.
Let's go to Zoom now and speak to security analyst Dr. Ishmael Norman. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us on Joy News Prime. There's been a back and forth on this. Now we're at a point of classification. Do you agree that the president's travel detail should be classified as top secret and treated as such?
Both men are correct. The presidential travels are both a matter of accountability, but it's also a matter of national security. Okay. The convention in most countries in the world is that they don't disclose the amount of money that is spent on a particular trip by the president. You will not get that figure from the United States, the most transparent democratic country in the world. You won't get that from Premier Johnson in UK. And so the argument, they have to work around it. And normally this kind of conversation takes place behind closed doors because, yes, it is a matter of national security. It is the brand. The president is the encapsulation of the brand of Ghana. You can't have him, kidnapped somewhere or whatever. And we have to be careful about how we approach these issues because the issue is not sticking to President Akufo-Addo. The issue sticks to the position of the presidency. So whether it's this president or a future president, this issue will become valid discussion over and over again. So the best approach is discuss whatever monies that are involved behind closed doors. The budget will have a consummate figure. Okay. For example, Buhari this year will spend $6 million to travel overseas. But we do not know the details of the amount of money he's going to spend. So far this year, President Biden has spent $3 million going from the White House to Delaware to his houses. Okay. President Trump spent $2.4 million going from the White House to Mar-a-Lago, where his hotel is. So how he spent the money, and that is not the cost of Air Force One or Marine One. That is the cost of security details around these men. So it is truly a matter of national security. And we cannot put the details of it to the average Joe Manson to know. Yeah. Yes, it is unfair that the president may travel, an expensive aircraft, but whether he goes with chartered flight or national owned flight, it is the same issue. Yeah, but Dr. Norman, involved cannot be discussed.
Dr. Norman, you're giving us figures from other countries, from the US, from Nigeria, our neighbors, for instance. These figures are known and you have access to them, for instance. Why can't we know or have some figure, a total figure of how much the president is spending on these travels? So how do you balance that, issue of accountability as against issues of national security?
Oh, I'm sure the budget definitely will have a quantum of money that the president will spend on international travel. Ghana budget should have that. Otherwise, then how do you finance those trips? So the budget will definitely have it, but it shouldn't be available to everybody. I'm a conservative analyst when it comes to security. So I think the argument should be maybe the president is traveling too much. For example, the Chinese premier, Xi Jinping, has not traveled since COVID broke in 2020. 600 days. We're talking about 1 year and 7 months. He's gone nowhere. Even on the climate change conference in Glasgow, he did it by Zoom. Okay. So the discussion should be, why do our president have a need to travel so much? When a powerful country like China, richer country like China, the premier does not travel. He does everything by Zoom, including international diplomacy. So that is where the conversation will be, because that will be more constructive than going against the convention. Presidential travel cost is not for public consumption. It's not for public discussion.
Very well. Thank you very much, Dr. Ishmael Norman, for joining us on this very controversial issue. I guess it comes down to the issue of having a policy that will guide this going forward. Now, Dr. Norman, just before you go, show the cost of the presidential travel be classified as top secret? I guess that is the new nomenclature that has been introduced in this conversation.
I think Honorable Brian Acheampong has been a little bit protective and exuberant. I don't think that the quantum of money to be spent is a top secret, because it's a burden on the national purse and Ghanaians have a right to know. However, the details per trip should not be available to the public.
Very well. We're grateful that you could join us. That's security analyst Dr. Ishmael Norman. And we have been gauging your views on this issue. Should the issue of the President's foreign travels be classified as top secret? You have been reacting on Facebook. Let me bring you some of those comments on our Facebook wall. We put that there, and some of you have been commenting on our Facebook wall. We'll bring that to you shortly. Also, we hit the street of Accra to speak to some of you on this latest development, and you have been speaking to us. But first, let's go to Facebook, and Selassie for Joe Chifeje says, so we citizens shouldn't know where our father goes. We can't even know how he's faring, including his safety, as well as how much we spend on him. Modra says the OG is pimping the presidential jet, and you are putting here, and you put that here. Well, this country is a joke. Kwanta Masahudu says this kind of characters that are leaders under the mother serpent of corruption in Akufo-Addo is problematic because most of them are arrogant and lack common sense. You are quoting Martin Amidu in that comment there. No, Brian, even the American president movement is known everywhere. Emmanuel says, so asking to know about the extravagant expenses of the president on the taxpayers' sweat too has become security threat. Don't worry, there's a time for everything. And John Baidu says, it can be secret if he has a secret money apart from the taxpayers' money. Who doesn't care where his money goes? And let's take this one from Frederick McDavis. Even the whereabouts of the American president is known. What do your government then in opposition said about John Mahama when he went on leave in Dubai? And as your turn, people are complaining for you to tell us. Okay, so these are some of the views that we're getting on Facebook on this story. But also, you've been speaking to us on the street of Accra. Here are your views on this.
I believe it should be made public. The reason is that he's serving the people. So he should make the people aware of whatever he's doing. Yes, I believe that expenditure should be made public. Yes.
Okay, I think Nana Addo have to come out and tell us what is in his mind about the, traveling and everything, because we are Ghanaians. We have to know what is going on in Ghana here. Yeah, we are suffering, so it's good and right for him to come out and tell us everything in his mind.
Yeah. We are obi behunbia ada say bibi wo say bia krono bi nsa ase a bibi wo no ma mpese emba public na nimpa ho ade bia wo ya eda ho kan a ofise boni bia nim kataso mamuaso bia nim biara no e wo say wo ya ma manfo hu say we na wo pase wo ye e no so far as wo ya mampani so e wo say odi ne kura ma wo baga na fo aha nti e wo say nka o ma nyina hu ne wo ye nti o so bi be ka say ma yan hu near where you are not just say, Bibi or no more person back catch it. Ada say, Chronobi or baby, Bibisa.
It's very necessary because as a city, we have to know how I'll be taxing every month, every year. And so if my money is being used, I have to know the use of the money. So it's very necessary for him to come out with how the money is being used.
So they can make it on public to show that this president is doing well, or if he's hearing some people's concern about the country. So if they say they should bring it, they should bring it out on public to everybody to see.
That one we have to know because it's our tax. It's our duty to know what our money goes. So we need to know. So we need to know how much it costs as individuals. So we need to know. It's a fine idea. Yeah. Let
me take you now to the Volta region because the Regional Police Command has revealed The man who allegedly killed his girlfriend and kept her body in a double-decker fridge at Hofiave has multiple official names. According to the public relations officer of the police, DSP Efiatenge, investigations also revealed that the deceased is from Zambia. She says police has contacted her family and informed them whilst the search for the suspects continue. We'll bring you details of that from DSP Efiatenge shortly. But Maxwell Adbaba was at the crime scene yesterday, and here's his report.
At the crime scene, the residence where the incident happened, some personnel from the Criminal Investigations Department just arrived here. Seated here also are neighbors. They just came here to commiserate with the landlady who is currently having interactions with personnel from the Criminal Investigations. The door had been cordoned off with another bar. They're trying to open the door.
In fact, it was so terrible. Very, very, very sad. Because this guy and the girlfriend used to buy things from my shop. By the roadside there. So they always buy from me. And, you know, when I heard the news, in fact, I was shocked. They always move quietly. They play their love very well. You know, in fact,
they openly displayed affection.
Yes. So
okay.
in fact,
they looked like they were happy. They looked like a happy couple.
Shut off voice. Since yesterday, I wasn't myself.
You perceive as if they are twins, because even when they come back from work, you realize that the guy is in front and the girl trying to jump to back him so that they come to that. So most of the time, everybody
jump behind him.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. So most of the times you realize that everybody see them to be happy. But for the guy, he's a type who doesn't smile. Yep. On a serious note, I hardly see him smile, and at times he chooses to greet or not.
He's an introvert?
Exactly.
Okay.
He chooses to greet you or not. Even the lady in the store, the seamstress, she at times complained to my mom that he hardly greets her in the shop. So
did he act weird sometimes? Do you consider his behavior weird sometimes?
I would say for a week now, the type of person he is, I know, has changed for almost a week now.
Okay.
Because he's a type always during weekends. When I'm around, I go to work very late, as I said, on Saturdays at 9. So you realize that he will be outside here on the porch, shaving. Because he always likes shaving. He doesn't leave his face to grow like that. So most of the time, he's always here shaving the beard. But for this 1 week, I've been telling my mom just yesterday too, for this 1 week, you realize that his face, bushy, the hair also, all of a sudden bushy. Wow. So my mom was also asking me that, why this guy is a neat type, so why of late, all of a sudden, his behavior.
So, actually, when I wake up in the dawn, I'll hear some scent in my room. But I thought that it's something who died in my room. So I just went to take my spray and spray the room, and I quickly quick off. You see that some flies are in the window, so they suspect that maybe something died for the room. So as I came here, the people all follow me into the porch. So we went there, I called my mom, and my mom told me that Mr. Frank came and took the spare key from him. Friday, Sunday.
That's the suspect?
Yeah, okay. Sunday. Okay. He came to my mom and took the spare key. So as he took the spare key, there is no more key again. So they might work people to...
So it could be that because the body was in that's why he took the key.
So actually...
let me interrupt. On Sunday, my mom I finished washing and it was kind of late, so I couldn't go to church. So upon dressing, when I finished washing, my mom called me to come and zip her clothes. Yeah. So when I was zipping the clothes, I realized that someone knocked the door.
Yeah.
So because my mom wasn't dressed well, so I came out.
Okay.
So I came to approach the suspect, which is Frank, at the entrance, and he was like, for some time his door had a problem, so we broke it, so it's still having that problem. So he was like, the key isn't picking up the switch well, so it's kind of hardened. So I should kindly, actually the key is kind of 6, so we shared it among us. My mom having some, I have some. so that in case anything, we can just give it out. So he came for Mai on Sunday. That moment he came and then he went to try. Okay. Within some few minutes, about just a second, then he came back. That my mom should hand over her own to her. So because my mom was also late, she was like, oh, okay. Then she just went and then picked the key and then gave it to him.
Wow. So who discovered the body in the fridge? Who discovered the body in the fridge? You discovered the body in the fridge?
Yeah, as we entered the room, I just saw that the fridge.
We can now hear from the Public Relations Officer of the Police in the Volta region, DSP Fiatenge, on what the investigations have so far revealed.
First of all, the search efforts by the police to get the prime suspects in this murder continues unabated. And again, we have been able to contact the employees of the suspect. Initially, we had information that both of them were employees of the said hotel, but police investigation tell otherwise. From the hotel where we visited, it is only the gentleman, that is the suspect in this case, who happens to be an employee, but the lady usually joins him, you know, to work anytime because she virtually had nothing to do. And so she's also known to the employers. We've also been able to establish contact with the family of the lady far away in Zambia, and we are in touch with some relatives, specifically a sister and a brother. Again, we have also noticed or detected that the suspect in this case has multiple names. From the hotel, he is known as Emmanuel. Then again, from the home, that's a neighborhood, they also know him as Frank, which was earlier, circulated or published. Then again, we are also learning from documents that the police have picked up that he is also known as Fiagbeji Kosi Augustine. So it looks like he has a number of names. For what reason, the police is yet to find out. But I still want to assure members of the public that, as we have earlier indicated, though he may be running for now, he cannot hide forever. We would continue to ask members of the public, as we have done. We have shared photos that we have been able to get from the crime scene and other places where the public will also support us in reaching the suspect who is on the run. We've also done a number of contacts where, for the purposes of investigation, it will not be ideal for the police to put out there. And so we want to assure, the Volta region and also the residents of the whole Fiave that looking at the work we are doing with the crime officer specifically involved in this particular case, we hope to at least make some successes in no time to come.
So when we visited the residents, we were told that the last time they saw the suspect was on Friday. The suspect and then the deceased was on Friday. But on Sunday, the suspect actually came for a spare key, from the landlady. I don't know if you have that information as well.
Yes, we also have that information. Mostly when an incident like this occurs, we rely a lot of information, especially from neighbors, people who live with either the victim or the suspect. And we also had that information that indeed on Friday they saw the gentleman together with the lady, both of them, returning from work. And even on Saturday they saw him alone. Then on Sunday they even saw him again.
This is John News Prime with me, Ernest Mino. Still to come in business, the rise in debt stock. Institute of Economic Affairs proposes a cap on the country's annual borrowing to prevent further rise in debt levels.
For instance, has described Ghana as having a high risk of debt distress today, but has also said that the debt is manageable going forward.
Charles Aite will bring you details after this break. Don't go away.
Now time for business. I'm Charles Aite. The Institute of Economic Affairs (IA) is proposing a cap on the country's annual borrowing to prevent further rise in the debt level, which has reached unsustainable levels and could throw gains chalked by the country out of balance. It wants Parliament to implement an appropriations bill for borrowing, similar to the policy imposing expenditure ceiling. This system is used by the U.S. Congress to rein in executive borrowing. We have more on this report.
At a press briefing on the 2021 budget and economic policy, the Institute of Economic Affairs said if government wants to borrow beyond the initial borrowing for whatever reason, it must return to Parliament for approval. Director of Research Dr. John Kwakye, however, expressed satisfaction by the Finance Minister's commitment to narrow the debt to gross domestic product ratio and also improve significantly the debt to liquidity ratios.
Now, the Minister himself stated that the outcome of Ghana's debt sustainability analysis indicates a high risk of debt distress, although he said the trajectory was sustainable. So, going forward, the economy is expected to grow, and the deficit, at least they have tried to put it on a declining path. So when these two come together, you will expect that the debt profile at least will improve. So it is in view of these anticipated positive developments that the IMF, for instance, has described Ghana as having a high risk of debt distress today, but has also said that the debt is manageable going forward.
Revenue mobilization has been a long-standing challenge, with Ghana's effort falling considerably short of that of its peers. The argument is that substantial revenue is lost annually through various channels, including tax exemptions, property tax, illicit financial flows, amongst others. The IEA is therefore calling for these loopholes to be plugged for adequate revenue to be raised to support the country's development. Dr. John Kwakye again.
Revenue effort, mobilization effort, falls considerably short of that of our peers. We have been saying this, forever. And we have long argued that substantial revenue is lost annually through various channels, including tax exemptions, property taxes, illicit financial flows, non-compliance, informal sector, administrative lapses, and fraud and corruption. If you go back to look at the statement that we gave you ahead of this budget, you will see that we mentioned all these factors. They are in there. So how did the minister respond, or did he respond to these lapses? As I said, we have called for these loopholes to be plugged, for adequate revenue to be raised to support the country's development. So we are pleased to note that the budget proposed measures to plug some of these loopholes, in addition to other measures to scale up revenue.
The Institute of Directors Ghana is poised to wage war against poor corporate governance. The president of the Institute, Roxim Dogbega, says a draft bill on Directors' Code of Ethics has been submitted to Parliament for consideration. Speaking to Joy Business at the 4th Corporate Governance Excellence Awards organized by the Institute, Mr. Dogbega says the bill, when passed, will give his outfit the legal backing to name and shame organizations and directors engaged in unethical practices in the country.
IOD is resolved to wage war against poor corporate governance. And to do that, we need to have the appropriate legislative backing, and that is why we are pushing the agenda to have the draft bill. Secondly, we also need a national corporate governance code that will be an overarching policy, to promote the culture of good corporate governance. Currently, we have, various scattered codes. The banking sector has their code, SEC has their code, a lot of people have their codes. But we need one umbrella code, which we'll call the National Corporate Governance Code, which will be structured in a manner that promotes accountability, that promotes ethical culture, that will promote the appropriate controls in a manner that will, encompass all of the frameworks that we have currently, and which will make it easy for investors to have one reference point.
Well, that'll be it for business for this segment. We have sports coming up. Do stay with us.
Accra Hearts of Oak U team as he returns to the Phobians after a recent disagreement which saw the player go AWOL. Awako returned to the training yesterday, having promised to do so after meeting with Teshi Youth Chief Ni Mate Lai the first on Monday. The midfielder signed a 2-year contract with the Phobians in August from Great Olympics, but never featured in a competitive game for his new club. It was widely reported that Awako came under spiritual attack after signing the lucrative deal and feared for his life, prompting him to stay away from the club. Hearts have had a jerky start to their title defense, failing to record a victory in 4 games and trail sworn rivals and league leaders Asante Kotoko by some 9 points. The midfielder will be hoping to help the club turn around their fortunes. All right, sports and partners Coca-Cola have launched Sprite Ball Expressions, a repackaged version of the annual Sprite Ball Championship. This year's competition will be between community teams and not senior high schools. There is more in this report.
Sprite Ball since 2007 has involved senior secondary schools like 5-time winners in Fansipim, Osupesek, Keta Business College, Wesley Girls, and other schools competing for the bragging rights. This year, however, the championship will adopt a music theme and a new form, with community teams participating in place of secondary school teams. Team lead of Right Sports, Yao Sechi, explains why.
Sprite globally is embracing music. Sprite has played in the youth space for a very long time. They are very big on earthing talents, improving the skill set of young people in basketball and many other sports. But in Ghana, the focus has been on basketball. But with a new direction to include music, which clearly is also to help unearth talent in music at the high school level, or you want to say amongst the youth, it became necessary to include music in this year's Sprite Ball. So the expression you see is the music component of this year's program.
Market Execution Manager of Coca-Cola Company Ghana, Elijah Efutunete, explains that the company seeks to provide a platform to young talented music makers to pursue meaningful careers through music.
The whole association with basketball is to unearth talents. We from the brand, Sprite, we've seen some good talents in our music industry and how young ones are creating value for us through music. And the more reason why we said, okay, can we tack on music to this? It's one of the areas where the Ghanaian youth, in our senior high schools and other things, have been expressing their talent. And so we said, okay, let's give them the opportunity through this program, through this fantastic initiative, to also unearth their talent and see what they can do with the talents they have.
All right, so Greater Accra, Volta, Western, Ashanti, Central and Eastern, 6 regions. What was the criteria for selecting these 6, and why didn't you open it up to other regions?
So it's been the tradition for some time now, and it's something that we've discussed over the period, and you heard the Greater Accra Vice President reiterate the need for us to extend to the other regions. Just for the records, in 2009, 2010, we activated in 8 regions. It was except Upper East and Upper West. We were in Sunyani, we were in Tamale, but a few considerations or a few limitations made it difficult for us to now return to those regions. But from the conversations going forward, from the conversation so far, it appears that the time is now to return to those regions, and now we have 16 regions to now make it truly national in character. Even though, yes, Sprite Ball is everywhere, and not every high school student get the chance to play, which is not fair. So we are engaging sponsors, we're engaging other partners, and I'm sure going forward, and I'm talking 2022, we should see the return of Sprite Ball in the regions that we were before and even more.
Okay, so the qualifiers for the regional tourney will start on December 3rd before the winners and the selected players from each region will gather here in Accra, the Aviation Social Center, on December 24th for the national tourney. Michelle Kweti-Quino for Joy Sports.
That'll be all for now. We'll bring you more sports later in the bulletin.
Time now for showbiz, and legendary musician Rocky Dawuni has been nominated yet again for an award at the Grammys. The announcement came off the official Grammys nomination ceremony in a live-streamed event by the Recording Academy on Tuesday, November 23, 2021. Ghana's Rocky Dawuni is in contention for the Best Global Music Album Award at the 64th Grammy Awards with his voice on Bon Bon. That's the Volume 1 album. Now he faces opposition from Daniel and Friends, Angelique Kidjo, Femi Kuti and Wizkid. Now this is the second Grammy Award nomination for the USA-based Ghanaian reggae singer, with his 2015 release Branches of the Same Tree album, winning him a nomination at the 2016 Grammys for Best Reggae Album. He's been reacting to the news on Hit FM.
We definitely need it as a country because, you know, at least, thank God now we have, you know, out of these Grammys, we have one nomination.
That's right.
Which I think it's a good thing. And it's also in the category of global, best global music album.
Right.
Which last year, I remember when we did not get any nomination, there was so much talk and so much kind of soul searching, you know, and people trying to figure out how Ghana gets back there again. And here we are.
Yeah.
Because once I finish my work, every year, when the Grammys time come, you just submit your work. That's, part of the process of releasing an album, anywhere in the U.S. or anywhere in the world. The work is submitted, and then the rest is prayers, and hopefully something happens to it.
Right.
But the thing is that you just have to make a good album, a great record, and do a great job of promoting it. And I think that Voice of Bon Bon was really a very great album, and just the opportunity to really bring Ghana right to the brink of another Grammy award. I think that alone in itself is something that I'm honored, The thing is that if Ghana radio had been playing the last record a lot, everybody would have known what they needed to do. You see? Because I kept telling everybody that is the fusion style that I had evolved, fusing reggae, high life, and Afrobeat, and creating, when Branches of the Same Tree was nominated, I said that the reason why it was nominated was that it really pushed the boundaries of reggae music and also expanded the boundaries of world music.
Meanwhile, entertainment pundit Arnold Asamoah-Boadu says Ghanaians not showing support to Rocky Dawuni is disappointed. In an interview with KMJ on Daybreak Hits Wednesday morning, the controversial pundit mentioned that making noise about his Grammy nomination is the first step to getting him closer to winning the prestigious award. Arnold also mentioned that he is particularly disappointed in the industry players and top guns who have not shown any support.
China or every Ghanaian celeb knows who Rocky Dawuni is. And so with this feat, I expected them to actually make some noise. I mean, go out there, congratulate him, shouting out, post his picture, do that. So in that aspect, I'm quite disappointed in the Ghanaian industry stakeholders. With the populace, well, because of the popularity level, the difference in the popularity level, it will probably take a time for them to actually jump on the bandwagon and shout him out. But if the big guns in the industry are doing it, I'm sure their followers will also see and do the same. So my disappointment stems from the industry, the stakeholders in the industry not shouting him out enough. Rocky is the deal. Rocky is the victim. And so after 2016, he came to Ghana, and then he had a couple of interviews. So he was asked why he felt maybe he couldn't win. And in one of his assertions, he did say that Ghanaians really did not make a lot of noise about his nomination. We did not talk about it extensively. He did admit that one or two, platforms did talk about it, but the noise level, the decibel level was low. And so I was comparing his commentary in 2016, 2017 to now. And I was thinking that after getting another nod, big ups to him. I mean, congrats to Rocky and the team. I was thinking, based on his commentary in 2017 and his accomplishment now, there would have been a change. But unfortunately, after almost a day since Grammy made the announcement, you and I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong. The noise level is not on that level yet.
Showbiz and dancehall artist Stonebwoy says he does not feel inferior and unimportant when he has to reschedule his concert abroad when other big artists have shows during that same time or that period or that day. Now, Stonebwoy, along with special guest DJ Kupi and others, entertained patrons at the Angloga Junction UK tour that saw himself performing on a set with his original songs. The musical experience, which was hailed by Davido and social media users, drew over hundreds of people who showed up to be entertained by the talented singer with his crew. Now, speaking with Joy Entertainment's Becky, Stonebwoy revealed that he does that because he knows the reality and hence he's honest with himself.
Like I told you, you're not the only one running. There are a lot of people running, right? So now you clash on a date with Wizkid. Bro, the honest truth is you don't want to clash. If you can move yours to another date and have it successful, and even the number basis, it's not like it's equal. Let's just move it. It makes a lot of sense because it's in the same month, it's a week after, so that even I can go and watch his, and this is in no way putting me beneath anybody. Like, if you know me well, my self-value is up to the tooth. It doesn't hurt for you to be honest with yourself, because in the end, having a Stonebwoy and Wizkid show on the same day, bro, knowing the truth and what is going on right now, it wouldn't make sense. We know that if it's 5,000 Ghanaians on that same day, if you ask 5,000 Ghanaians on that same day to attend a concert, I bet you 4,000 will go for Wizkid and 1,000 will come to mine.
Why is that?
I don't know, but that's the reality. That's the reality. So why then not make it easier for all of us? Move your date, they come to yours, they go to the other guys. Is it not? Just be wise. It's simple. This doesn't put me anywhere below anybody, or I'm not in any competition with nobody. Come on, this is music now. This is not boxing.
Yeah, it appears that obviously you're not in competition with anybody across the world. Not even.
I wouldn't be here if I was competition minded, bro. I wouldn't be here. I would have lost a long time ago, because then I would be keeping my focus on something that is not. My focus wouldn't be straight. Like, there's a reason why horses run in a straight line. You know what I mean? So competition zero, and anybody who competes with me will get nowhere as well, because you should look further. You shouldn't look at me, I can inspire you and you can inspire me, and we can only collaborate, because this is music. This is not any sports.
That's it for Showbiz. We have more stories after this. Stay with us. And thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. The Association of Magistrates and Judges have, in an unprecedented move, waded into the pretty controversial criminal case. And the association has described as malicious and false some accusations leveled against Supreme Court Judge Clemence Onyanuga. President of the association, Justice Henry Kofi, told pressmen the group had taken notice of an accusation on social media that the judge was given 2 cars by President Akufo-Addo to ensure that former Cocoa Board CEO Dr. Stephen Opuni is jailed. Court correspondent Joseph Akable has the rest of the story.
Justice Onyenuga is presiding over the trial of Dr. Opuni as an additional High Court judge. He was earlier this year restrained by the Supreme Court from hearing the case following accusations of bias leveled against him by Dr. Opuni. This decision was later set aside by an enhanced Supreme Court review panel, where the judge permitted to hear the matter again. Justice Kofi in his address argued the judge received 2 cars he was entitled to as a Supreme Court judge.
The Association of Magistrates and Judges of Ghana has noted with concern malicious allegations leveled on various social media platforms against certain judges, specifically including Justice Clemens Onyenuga, Justice of the Supreme Court. The accusations, which we find very scandalous, are to the effect that Justice Onyenuga has been given 2 brand new vehicles, one SUV and a saloon car by the President of the Republic through His Lordship, the Chief Justice of Ghana, with the sole purpose of getting Justice Onyenuga to jail 2 persons, namely Dr. Opuni and Seydou Agongo, who are accused persons in a case being tried by Justice Onyenuga as an additional High Court judge. Now, the association ordinarily, if it had been anything else, we would not have commented on it. But we find this allegation against Justice Onyenuga, who is a member of this association, and indeed the judiciary as a whole, because it involves an attack also on His Lordship, the Chief Justice. We find this allegation as an attempt to create disaffection against the said judge, and by extension, the judiciary as a whole, and we have found it necessary to set the record straight.
He described the allegations as malicious and geared at tarnishing the image of the judge and the judiciary.
We wish to state as an association that the allocation of official duty vehicles or duty post vehicles to Justice Onyenuga or any other judge for that matter has absolutely nothing to do with any case or any number of cases pending before Justice Onyenuga or any other judge for that matter who is allocated official vehicle, which is what we are entitled to by virtue of our appointment as judges, depending upon where you are in the hierarchy. If you have a Supreme Court judge, you are a Supreme Court judge, there's a car that you are entitled to. If you are a Court of Appeal judge, there's a car that you are entitled to. You are a High Court judge, there's a car that you are entitled to. Even the Circuit Court judges have cars that they are entitled to. They are entitled to smaller Toyota Corolla vehicles. Any judge who has allocated any of these vehicles is not being, as it were, being forced to take a certain decision or do a hatchet job for anybody. No judge takes an official vehicle with the sole purpose of putting somebody in prison or doing a hatchet job for anybody else. This allegation, which is being thrown around all over the place on social media, we find extremely malicious, unfounded, and we see it as a deliberate attempt to cause disaffection to Justice Onyenuga in particular, to His Lordship, the Chief Justice, and to the judiciary in general, and we take great exception. We see it also as an attempt to scandalize the judiciary, and we take great exception to it.
It is not clear who specifically made this latest allegation against the judge.
The Ministry of Interior has, on the advice of the Upper East Regional Security Council, imposed a curfew on the Bawku municipality. The curfew starts from 4 p.m. will end at 6 a.m. According to the Upper East Regional Minister, Stephen Yakubu, the curfew was necessitated by shootings in the area from the night of November 23 to the morning of November 24. He explained that the tension has been brewing between the Mamprosis and the Kusasi ethnic groups who have had a long-standing chieftaincy dispute. The recent tension, he said, came as a result of plans by the Mamprosi faction to perform the funeral of a chief who died many years ago. As part of security measures, the Regional Security Council has also banned with immediate effect the wearing of smokes in Bawku. Let's go to the Central region now. 22 persons, including a chief, have been arrested by the police in the Central East region for engaging in a gun battle during the installation of a chief at Yamwa Nkwanta near Kanswa. Richard Kochinyako has more.
Briefing the media, the Central East Regional Police Commander DCOP Ochebo Apia explained there have been disagreement and confrontations between the two factions as to who is the rightful occupant of the Yamwa stool. He further intimated that while the installation of a chief was ongoing, there was a misunderstanding between the two factions that resulted in a gun battle. The regional police commander says for several hours, residents of Yamwa Nkwanta were held hostage in their homes as the two factions engaged in a fierce gun battle. DCOP Ochebo Apia says, but for a quick police intervention, there would have been casualties.
There has been a disagreement as to the rightful candidate to be installed as a chief of Yamwa Nkwanta. The misunderstanding made the regional command to invite the parties for discussion and possible settlement. And the decision to install the chief was put on hold. Today, 24th November 2021, at about 6:30 a.m., the kingmakers of Yamwa Nkwanta installed one Chief Olu as a chief of Yamwa Nkwanta. This brought about violent confrontation and indiscriminate shooting between the two factions. The regional operation was quick to respond, and 22 suspects were arrested, including the chief, and were brought to the regional headquarters, together with SB's one pump action gun, one foreign pistol, and 8 cartridges, and will be screened, and those found involved will be put before court.
Meanwhile, some residents who got terrified at the incident say their lives were in danger and are calling on the IGP to beef up the security in that area.
Free, baby, because assassin any dia. So man, 50 muna so dia. Yes, we bet me there. Bet my IGP apanucho onu nimbani on chane nimsha Yamwa Nkwanta. One dia dem say Yamwa Nkwanta eburugu fazasi. Osin ho hine ana say on obatake on ban so mutututu but anko bia Bahama krom ho fo nyina obi esuru ana on ba ha no omo pam motofo no be Thursday no omo pam motofo bubu nkrofo wa ha nti ama panic abakrom ha omo suru obi ehu police car kra na say ohu say obi ayen hu say rasta kra no odwane. The police say they are continuing with their investigations and have assured residents that they've got things under control. Reporting for Joy News, Richard Kwejenyako, Kaswa.
President Akufo-Addo has called for a concerted effort to deal with the threat of jihadist insurgents and activities of pirates, warning the development is not, if not checked, will destabilize the West African sub-region. Welcoming the visiting Danish Prime Minister to Ghana, the President said the African Union is looking forward to a meeting with the European Union to address the issue of youth unemployment and migration.
So it's good of you to have come. As you know, in February, I believe it has now been scheduled for February, there's going to be also a meeting between the African Union and the European Union in Brussels, which is going to provide us an opportunity for the leaders on both sides to come to grips with some of the major issues of the world today, the issues of jobs for young people, security issues. We have the jihadist insurgency, the Sahel in West Africa, that continues to pose a major threat to the security of our various nations in West Africa, in ECOWAS. We have also the growing menace of the pirates in the Gulf of Guinea, a development that you have responded to. And I think we have to applaud you for your courage in taking this decision to provide some sort of military response to.
The Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen, who is on a 3-day state visit to Ghana, pledged the commitment of her country to help Ghana deal with the impact of climate change on water supply, as well as formulate a plan to address the job creation and migration issues.
Some of the issues that you have already brought to the table. I think you're totally right about the meeting we are going to participate in, both of us, in February in Brussels, where we will have the African Union and the European Union sitting around the same table. And of course, we have a lot of historical ties between us, not all of them positive, we all know that. But we also have a lot of future things on our table. Climate changes, just to add another topic to the agenda. We were just talking about what's happening in your region because of climate changes. Then poverty raise and migration starts, and it brings a lot of different problems with it. And we need to respond to the climate changes both in Africa and in Europe, and to build a stronger bridge between us when it comes to climate changes. Now we have had more than 60 years of direct cooperation between Ghana and Denmark. That's quite impressive. I think we have shown through generations now what this cooperation means and what we can use it. Later on today, we will focus on water supplies. Of course, a very important topic, and because of climate changes, the lack of water will be an even larger and huger problem worldwide. So I think direct and very concrete.
Ensign Global College is entreating its graduating class of 2021 to be committed to helping people in public health-related issues. According to founder of the college, Dr. Lynette Gay, the graduates have been given experience in the practical application of public health. There's more in this report.
At the 6th congregation of the college, 19 students were conferred with the Masters of Public Health degree. This is in line with the aim of the institution to improve health and well-being in Ghana and West Africa. Founder of the college, Dr. Lynette Gay, charged the graduates to be agents of prosperity. She further said there is an expansion of programs to cover other aspects of public health.
Well, Ensign College of Public Health is now Ensign Global College because we've finally reached a position in our institution that we are ready to branch out beyond public health. Public health will always be our main emphasis because health and innovation and entrepreneurship produces prosperity. And if you don't have your health, it's hard to be prosperous. But we have been approached by other institutions and other foundations and businesses that want to partner in this part of Africa to also introduce some of their innovations for students, especially entrepreneurship. We want to branch out into certain areas of business and other aspects of health capacity. We'd like to do a Master's of Health Management. We'd like to do a Master's of Business Creation. And we're going to be working with several businessmen in Africa that will allow them to have their trainings done here on our campus here as well.
Best graduating student, Lucy Makafu Inutako, explained the need to take public health seriously.
With coronavirus that came, a lot of efforts and interventions have been put in place. So I'm sure by now we've all seen the essence of public health and how we need to take that serious as a country and put in the necessary interventions that would save lives and then prolong lives of the population.
The Ensign Global College was formerly called the Ensign College of Public Health, and it is bent on aiding students acquire knowledge in public health. James Ishan's report for Joy News.
One girl's dream of holding a computer for the first time in her life has been fulfilled in the Bono regional town of Brekum. At 15 years, Sharifatu Azumi was yet to use a computer despite learning ICT for years. There was pomp at her school, the Jamdede Adom MA in Brekum, when Ghana's leading wireless infrastructure giant, ATC, cut ribbons for the opening of a digital community center for Sharifa School and other young people in Brekum community. My colleague Justice Bedi was there for us.
My name is Azumi Sharifa Mohammed. I'm a Muslim. I'm 15 years of age. I'm the senior girls prefect of Jamdede Adom AM Basic School.
I have asked Sharifa to meet and chat with her classmates about computers.
Hi Juliet, how are you doing?
A device neither she nor any of her mates have ever used before.
We do theory aspects because we don't have computers in the school.
Sharifa is readying herself to write the basic education certificate exams next year. And yet, like many of her friends, she can hardly do anything on the computer.
We are in public school, and in public school, it's very difficult for us to get computers. And we don't have money to buy computers for ourselves.
Sometimes some pick it up because the good one will pick it up, even because some are good having parents in their houses who have laptops or have some small iPhone that they can actually see. So they pick it up. But those who are from the villages don't see anything, and who don't even have lights, they don't pick it up easily. So it's not always just easy.
Today is a happy day. The children in Sharifa's school have put on their best clothes and have come out to put on their best show to welcome some of the most important guests ever to visit their school. They are from the American Towers Company, the leading wireless infrastructure company in Ghana.
We at ATC feel very honored to have brought this project to life, more particularly in this community. As a technology-focused company, we are very invested in ensuring equal access to quality ICT education to everyone, and young people in particular. This center before you represents our ongoing commitment as a company to be a responsible corporate citizen of this great country of ours, Ghana.
They have traveled for more than 7 hours to come and open the school's first ever ICT lab.
Hereby declare this digital communities at Jamdede duly open. Yay!
The country has still a long way to go in introducing ICT in our education. As most of our schools lack adequate facilities to enable them to be trained in the area. It is for this reason ATC, a subsidiary of American Tower Corporation, experts in provision of multi-tenant communication sites for leasing and building of backup systems, has been, since 2011, has been supporting in the education and training of ICT.
This center, fully staffed with world-class computers, is one of many built by ATC.
You know that ATC helps us to have a computer lab. It will make learning easy for us. It will make ICT very easy for us.
The company, with a vision to tap into and support the country's agenda to digitalize, are currently on the road, commissioning many others that have been built for vulnerable communities like this. Justice Bedu, Joy News, Brekum.
My name is Anas Mine. We'll join you prime here in our studios at Kukumlemle, Accra. We're taking a break. On Word 10, Charles Aite has another dose of business stories for you. Don't go away.
Business, the acting chief executive of the Public Procurement Authority, the person of Frank Mante, says that his outfit is working with the public to ensure transparency in their procurement processes. According to him, the PPA organizes training for the private sector to sensitize them on how to go about tenders in line with procurement activity. He was speaking at the 10th Public Procurement Authority Annual Public Forum, of which we have more in this report.
The Public Procurement Authority is seeking to partner the private sector on procurement processes as part of its vision of pushing for national development. At the 10th Public Procurement Authority Annual Public Forum, the PPA said it would sensitize the public sector on procurement processes for national development. Here's the Acting Chief Executive Officer of the Public Procurement Authority, Frank Mante.
Private sector, I would say, is an active partner in government procurement. This is because Ghana is not a socialist state. Ghana is a capitalist state. It means that the government cannot buy from itself. So the government obviously has to buy from the private sector. And so if government has to buy from the private sector, the private sector itself needs to be prepared to understand what it takes to partner government in public sector procurement. So PPA, specifically under Section 3 of our Procurement Act, we are mandated to build the capacity of the private sector. So in terms of how they respond to tenders that are published. For example, if a tender is published, and then the private sector person goes to buy the tender, they need to understand how to complete it. If they do not have that understanding, what is going to happen is that they will submit a tender that is incomplete. And once it's incomplete, during the evaluation process, that particular private sector person or firm will be dropped. And obviously they will have spent money buying the tender document. Okay, so PPA has always been cautious about helping to develop the capacities of this private sector so that when they are taking part in government contracts, they clearly understand what they need to do.
Also, chairman of the oil and gas sector at the Association of Ghana Industries, Kwame Jantua, commended the PPA on the move.
PPA's annual forum to try as much as possible to get interactive with the people, to tell them what the PPA is actually doing, especially with regards to the law and how the law works with regards to procurement. And I think that is a good thing, because if you bring people in and people get to know the law better, it streamlines everything and makes things much more transparent and accountable. In terms of the AGI is a partner to the PPA in terms of we handle private sector, and private sector mostly are the ones who go in and do procurement on behalf of government. But we should note that the PPA handles more of government procurement than private sector procurement. So it's a thing that they work with the private companies to help procure on behalf of government.
The Public Procurement Authority is embarking on propelling the wheels of the private sector through sensitization on procurement processes to support the Ghana Beyond Aid agenda. James Ishan's report for Joy Business.
Now, the United Nations Global Network Ghana, after weathering the year 2020, is now in a better position to become a premier network in the UN Global Compact initiative in Africa. According to the program's coordinator of Global Compact, they seek to sensitize businesses on the importance of sustainability in Ghana and also take full advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area, which is to aid in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. James Ishan comes through with this.
The United Nations Global Compact, which was revived in the year 2019, has been officially launched here in Ghana at the African Strategy and Launch themed the importance of sustainability in the decade of action, transforming businesses to become more resilient and competitive. They're basically looking at cushioning small-scale industries as well as other corporate firms, trying as much as possible to get them take full advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Us getting down to work, we want to have our outreach to companies. We want to get them involved. We want to open the Global Compact's doors to them. We want to let them know what opportunities are available to them, and to really demonstrate that sustainability is now one of the key ways a business can be successful today. It's not just an investment in CSR, it's actually an investment in the company itself. So one of the things that we're doing is that we're going to make strategic partnerships. We're going to find the associations, we're going to find the the donor organizations. We're going to find even the businesses who understand the landscape and about how to reach out to the SMEs. We're going to look at their value chains.
Well, so this was a brainchild by the late General Secretary of the United Nations, Kofi Annan, who had these dreams to help these businesses right from the SMEs to that of the corporate firms to help the United Nations in achieving its SDGs by the year 2030. For Joy Business, James Ishen.
Now, Toyota Ghana Company Limited has launched its new Land Cruiser 300. Addressing the media, head of sales operations of Toyota Ghana, Andrew Lamte, said his outfit seeks to live up to its reputation, hence the continuous evolution to provide the best for customers. He further outlined the features of the Land Cruiser 300.
Designed new Land Cruiser 300 series, the successor to the 200 series that debuted in 2007, is a station wagon model. As a flagship model of the Land Cruiser series, it has incorporated some of the latest technologies to suit consumer demand. Speaking at the launch, head of sales operations of Toyota Ghana, Andrew Lamte, highlighted the features of the vehicle.
Users might know we had what we call the Land Cruiser 200, which has served Ghanaians for the past 14 years. And Toyota Motor Corporation has come out with a completely new design which has moved us into the Land Cruiser 300 series. Now, it comes in 3 variants, what we call the GXR, the VX, and then the GRX. This new version comes with a 6-cylinder VIN 3.3-liter engine. It replaces what used to be the V8. This particular one actually gives you more power. In fact, it can give you up to 225 kilowatts at a lower speed of 4,000 RPM. The higher version comes with some specific features which you might never get on the market anywhere. We have a 12.3 infotainment system for the driver, and then finally, the high version also comes with what we call the EKDSS, Electronic Kinetic Dynamic Suspension System.
Approximately 10.4 million units of Land Cruisers have been sold in 170 countries. The new 300 model, Mr. Lamte reveals, costs between $110,000 and $150,000.
So our target audience are every Ghanaian who can actually afford a Land Cruiser. Now, it is the ultimate driving machine. So we have members of parliament who are very busy, who run across the length and breadth of this country in some very rough terrains. These are people who we are looking at, chief executives, we are looking at high-class business owners, CEOs, MDs, general managers of all organizations, and of course individuals who want to buy the Land Cruisers. The fluctuation of the Ghana cedi, I just want to give you an idea of the price in dollars so that at any point in time when you want to do the conversion. So it ranges between $110,000 to $150,000, nothing more, nothing less.
Well, that'll be it for business. I'm Charles Ait.
Thanks for your company. Please log on to myjoyonline.com. You'll find more stories there.